that I get asked about very, very often, which is, David, how do you use structures and routines both in your business and your personal life in a way where it doesn't feel like it's in opposition to flow? So people saying, I want to listen deeply to what's true in the present moment, and I feel like structures and routines are in the way of that. So let me share a couple of thoughts that will help you clarify what role structures are supposed to play and what role they're not supposed to play. First and foremost, having structures and routines is not in any way in opposition to following the flow. That is an expression of fragmentation in our consciousness when we feel like one excludes the other, and it's not true. It's how very much we've been taught to use structures, routines, self-discipline, how we've been taught in our education system, for example, to use these things in a way where we don't listen to our own aliveness anymore, where that feels like I have to blindly follow what I said I would do because I said so. And that's not the idea of it. So if you have that experience, I invite you to challenge it and to be curious how you can bring structures into your life where there is enough space for flow to emerge. Because if done correctly, having structure just supports flow to move like a riverbed. Just more flow being able to come through when there's no structure at all. You just have like just things moving in all directions at once. So structure that is life aligned is super helpful. So that is number one. If you have that split, just understand that is not reality. That is based on experiences that we've all had of like, oh, I have to choose. I can either go with the flow or I follow some rigid routines. But in reality, they move hand in hand. The second thing is structures that truly support flow are simple. And I'm saying that as someone who used to have very complicated routines in my life, very elaborated 2-hour morning routines. And that was like the only way I could feel grounded for the day. And so that for me is an expression that these structures came from a place of rigidity, of control, of not trusting life. My structures these days are much simpler, and there is always space for spontaneity to emerge. So whenever you see someone proposing like, here are the 16 steps you need to bring into your business to have a consistent client flow, or the 150-minute morning routine that I propose, to me that's an expression of, oh, someone is focusing in a way on structure and routines in a way that is not aligned with life, because those structures that are truly aligned with life and that allow for flow to happen are much, much simpler, and they always allow for flexibility. But understand there's a difference between I always just follow what is coming up in this present moment, or I have some structures that I've put in place in moments of clarity that help me move in the desired direction while still being open to listening to the present moment if some deeper creativity actually emerges. In that moment, it stops being a contradiction. And what we see in the world, the kind of split I was talking about, is we have people who only follow the present moment, the inspiration of the present moment. And for those people, often it's very hard to create consistent results because they're jumping into different directions in every single moment. So that's like the one side, like people just flowing and just following their intuition. The other side is like the kind of old world of entrepreneurship where it's like you have to know every hour of the day what it is that you're actually focusing on. And if you don't have that, then you're doing something wrong and you're wasting time. And if you let yourself if you give yourself the freedom to decide in every single moment what you focus on, then you're going to make bad decisions because we have to discipline ourselves into success. Like that's kind of like the other extreme. And neither of those are true, and neither of those are actually effective. So if you are someone who's deeply connected to yourself, who's very dedicated to an inner path, to a spiritual path, you know that this old paradigm doesn't work. But you probably also have the experience that if you just follow the inspiration in every single moment, you can be kind of all over the place. And it's kind of hard to make things happen and be really effective when you have no structures at all. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to create simple structures in your life. And again, it doesn't matter if that's in your personal life or your business life. Things that you commit to from a deep level of alignment of like, yes, this feels meaningful to focus on. So for example, for some time, I've had the commitment to show up every single day to create a live on Facebook, or 3 times a week, a story, or to do some journaling for 15 minutes every day in the morning. Whatever it is, it can be small things that feel exciting and meaningful for you to focus on, that feels like it's helping energy to move in a specific direction. When you have those things, your creativity and your flow will naturally flow more in this particular direction. And you're still able to listen to the inspiration that is coming up each moment. So this is the core of what I want you to take from this. Like, structure and flow and creativity are not in opposition to each other. That's just how we've learned to separate these two things. That's like an expression of a fragmented consciousness. We can learn to bring them together, and structures and routines in this connected way are simple. They're not like overly mental, super complicated, something that you like have to think through and plan through in like a really hard way. No, they're very simple things. Divine intelligence expresses itself through simplicity, not through complicated things. Okay? And we don't want to reject structure, because structure is just like how life is built. There is a logic to it. There is a structure to it. It's not random. There is an actual logic to it, and structure is a part of it. Okay? So we want to bring structures into our lives, into our business, but they will be simple, and they will always allow space and breathing room for our creativity to actually come through. Now, I'm very curious to hear from you. What is it that you feel more connected to? Do you feel more connected to your flow and your intuition? Or do you feel more connected to the ability to set goals, have structures, follow clear routines? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And with that, I'm sending you so much love. Have a beautiful evening, and talk very soon.